The huge silver station floated above a dead gray moon that looked like Earth, but had no life left in it. The Galactic Concord called this place the Memory Vault, because here they kept old worlds alive inside giant machines. Lead researcher Vexlar swam slowly through the control room. His long tentacles moved with calm grace as he checked glowing screens around him. He was a scholar from the deep ocean world of Thalor 9, and everyone respected his careful mind. No one rushed big discoveries under his watch. Today the team prepared to start the biggest project yet. They wanted to learn why humans became so strong so fast. Humans looked weak, with soft skin and no claws or thick shells. Yet these small creatures now flew ships across the galaxy and talked as equals with ancient races. Vexlar believed the answer hid somewhere in Earth's long-forgotten past. The chronosphere would bring that past back to life. The chronosphere was a round dome bigger than most city blocks, the center of the station, like a sleeping giant. Inside its walls waited empty land, sea and sky, ready to fill with old Earth. The machine used data from human ruins, old bones, rock layers, and frozen genes that humans left behind before they left their home world. Vexlar touched a panel, and soft blue light filled the room. The team gathered close. 6 researchers from different species stood silent. Some had feathers, some had scales. One had 6 eyes that never blinked. "We begin with care," Vexlar said, in the calm, clicking language of scholars. "First we bring the ancient seas. No big risks, no fast jumps. We watch step by step." The others nodded. Most felt excited, a few felt nervous. One young assistant named Lyra, whose fur stood up when she worried, whispered, "Is it safe to wake such an old world?" Vexlar turned one large eye toward her. "The past cannot hurt us here. It is only light and shape, nothing more." He gave the order. The chronosphere hummed low and deep. Blue waves rolled across the empty space inside. First came warm, shallow water, full of tiny swimming things. Then bigger shapes appeared. Creatures with hard shells and many legs crawled over the sea floor. Trilobites, the humans once called them. Vexlar watched them scuttle and feed. The team made quiet notes. These small lives struggled in a world of heat and poison gas. Yet they lasted hundreds of millions of years. "A good start," Lyra said. "They are tough in their own way." Time moved faster inside the sphere. Days became years, years became thousands. The water changed color. Green mats grew on rocks. Strange fish with armor plates swam in schools. Some had long spines. Some had jaws like traps. The aliens leaned closer. "This is better," Vexlar said. "See how life fights to breathe, to eat, to breed." Earth was never kind, even then. The screen showed storms that tore the sea apart. Volcanoes poured fire into the waves. Yet life kept coming back, stronger each time. The team cheered softly when the first forests rose on land. Plants, with no flowers, reached for a red sky. Giant bugs flew between them. Some had wings as wide as a grown alien's body. Others crawled with bodies like living tanks. Vexlar felt pleased. This showed the pattern. Life on Earth met hard walls and broke through them. He wrote in his log, "The early world tests every creature. No weak thing survives long." They moved forward again. The air grew thick with oxygen. Trees became taller. Ferns grew into jungles. The bugs became fewer, but the ones that stayed grew huge. A dragonfly with wings like sails flew past the observation window inside the sphere. Lyra laughed. "It looks like a fighter ship from the old wars." Vexlar did not laugh. He watched carefully. Something about this place felt hungry. The world gave life many gifts, but asked for blood in return. Now the land changed again. Big shapes walked under the trees. Long necks stretched high. 4 legs like pillars carried heavy bodies. Some had plates along their backs. Some had spikes like spears. Vexlar named this time the Age of Great Beasts. The humans later called them dinosaurs. The team stared at the huge creatures. A plant eater, taller than the chronosphere itself, pulled leaves from the highest branches. A meat-eater with teeth like knives chased smaller runners across open ground. The ground shook when they moved. "They are impressive," Vexlar said. "But look closer. They depend on warm days and full bellies. Cold kills them fast. Big bodies need much food. A single bad season can end them." The others agreed. This explained much. These giants ruled for a long time, but one rock from the sky could finish them. The team felt safe in that thought. Big does not always win. Small and clever can last longer. They watched a great storm of fire and dust cover the sky. The big reptiles died slowly. Some hid in burrows. Some ran to the sea. Most simply stopped moving. The world became quiet for a while. Small furry things crept out at night. They ate insects. They hid from hawks. They raised young. In warm nests, Vexlar pointed to one small creature. "It looks like the start of something new. The data matches human bones from later times. These are the grandparents of the ones who left Earth." The team felt hope. This explained the humans. They came from small hidden survivors, not from the giants. The pattern made sense. Weak at first, but able to change fast. Able to eat many things. Able to live in cold. Able to think and plan. Vexlar smiled for the first time that day. "We are on the right path," he said. "Let us move forward slowly." The humans began as little shadows. Now we will see how those shadows grew tall. The chronosphere glowed brighter. The ice came next. Thick white sheets covered much of the land. Big furry beasts walked over snow. Fields of grass waved under short summers. The team watched herds of long-horned animals run from danger. They saw cats with long curved teeth leap from rocks. They saw bears bigger than any living thing today. Vexlar felt surprise, stronger than the old giants in some ways. They ran faster. They fought harder. They lived through winters that would kill most creatures. One bear stood on its back legs and roared. The sound shook the observation room, even though it was only light and sound. Lyra stepped back. "That thing could break our ship if it was real." Vexlar nodded. Yet something hunted these monsters. Something small. Something without big teeth or claws. He zoomed the view closer. Tiny figures moved at the edge of the ice. They carried sharp sticks. They wore skins. They walked on two legs. The first humans had arrived. Vexlar stared at the screen. His tentacles curled tight. The small figures looked weak. They had no fur to fight the cold. They had thin arms and legs. Yet they followed the big beasts. They watched from hills. They waited for the right moment. Then they attacked. Not with strength, but with plans. They drove a herd toward a cliff. They threw stones. They used fire to scare the animals into traps. Watched in silence as one small band killed a mammoth, bigger than 10 of them together. How? Vexlar asked quietly. "How do such small things win?" Lyra answered in a soft voice. "They do not stop. They learn. They share what they know. They keep trying, even when others would run away." The other researchers looked at each other. No one spoke for a long time. The chronosphere showed more groups, more tools, more fires. The ice melted. The humans spread. They did not just live, they changed the rules. Vexlar closed his eyes for a moment. He had come to study a young species. Now he began to feel something else. Respect, mixed with worry. The past was waking up, and it wore a human face. He opened his eyes and spoke to the team. "We continue tomorrow. We go slow. We watch every step. But remember this. The monsters we feared are gone. The ones who replaced them are still out there, and they are walking among us now." The light in the chronosphere dimmed. The station became quiet. Machines remained. Vexlar floated alone for a while. He looked at the dark dome and thought about the small figures he had seen. They carried no fear in their eyes, only hunger. A hunger that never ended. The gravity field kept climbing without mercy. 4G hit first, like a giant hand pressing down on every shoulder. 5G followed quick, and the suits started to whine louder. The compensators glowed bright orange on the Caliph exosuits. Their thin limbs bent sharp, and their feathers flattened against their bodies. Sierra tried to lift one arm, but it dropped fast, like wet rope. She made a high, sharp sound through her translator. "Help me, please." Gruk, the big Vorath, planted his 6 legs wide and pushed back against the weight. His shell creaked loud enough to hear over the alarms. He grunted deep and low. "This is nothing. I have carried heavier loads on my home world." But at 6G, his front legs buckled. The shell plates shifted and ground together with a sick crunch. He fell forward slow, then slammed down hard. Dust puffed up from the deck around him. The coral floated higher at first. Their gas bladders swelled to fight the pull. But 7G came next, and the pressure squeezed too tight. One bladder popped with a wet bang. Gas rushed out in a green cloud. The creature inside twisted and shrank fast. The others followed quick. Balloons burst one after another like overfilled bags. The methane smell filled the air, sharp and bitter. The coral hit the floor, limp and silent. Mara felt the change deep in her bones. The weight pulled at her spine and pressed her lungs flat. Each breath came short and hard, like sucking air through a thick cloth. Her legs burned from thighs to calves. Sweat rolled down her back and soaked her jumpsuit inside the suit. She locked her knees straight and leaned a little forward to keep balance. Her heart hammered loud in her ears, but she refused to drop. The alarm screamed louder now. Gravity warning, critical overload, field spike detected, evacuate immediately. Bulkhead doors started to slide shut with heavy grinding sounds. Red lights flashed across the curved walls and painted everything bloody. Medical drones lifted off their pads and flew toward the fallen teams, but the gravity crushed even them. Some drones dropped mid-air and clattered useless on the deck. 8G, 9G. The Caliph team leader tried one last time to stand. His name was Lear. He spread all 6 limbs wide and pushed up. His feathers turned dark purple with strain. Then a bone snapped loud inside his arm. He cried out sharp and fell sideways. His body curled tight like a dying leaf. The rest of his team already lay flat, faces pressed to the cold metal. Some twitched weak, others stayed still. Gruk rolled onto his side. His mandibles clicked fast in pain. Shell fragments stuck out from cracks along his back. He tried to speak, but only air hissed out. The translator garbled his words. Broken, hurt, help. The Vorath medic drone reached him first. It sprayed sealant foam over the cracks, but the weight still pressed down hard. Gruk went quiet after that. Mara took one step forward. Her boots scraped loud on the deck. The gravity wanted to fold her in half, but she fought it. She remembered the drops. Back on Terra 5G for 30 seconds. 6G for 10. Heart rate maxed, vision black at the edges. But she always stood up after. The instructors called it stubborn. They were right. 10G arrived sudden and brutal. The remaining drones crashed down like stones. The air felt thick and hot. Mara tasted copper in her mouth, blood from a bitten tongue. She ignored it. Her eyes locked on the override console. It stood 20 steps away now, but every step felt like a kilometer. She moved slow. One foot lifted high, then dropped heavy. The other followed. 11G. Her vision tunneled narrow. Black spots danced at the sides. She blinked hard to clear them. Her arms hung heavy like lead weights, but she kept them loose to save energy. Sweat stung her eyes. She wiped it away with a shaky glove. The console grew closer, step by step. 12G. A sharp pain stabbed through her lower back. She grunted low but kept going. Her legs shook bad now. Muscles screamed for rest. Meant fall. And fall meant failure. She thought of the faces back home, the kids who waved when she left, the old sergeant who said, Humans don't quit. We bend, but we don't break. She straightened her spine more. 13G. The chamber felt smaller. The walls pressed in. The air burned her throat with every breath. She reached the console at last. Her hand rose slow, like it moved through water. Fingers trembled bad. She pressed the first key. Red light blinked, then steadied. Override request detected. Identify user. Lieutenant Mara Voss, Terran Union. The AI voice answered flat. Human Lieutenant Voss. Biometric match confirmed. Status active. All other participants non-responsive. Gravity field at 13.8 G. Override priority granted. Mara stared at the screen for one long second. Her chest heaved. Her legs wanted to give out, but she stayed upright. She pressed the collapse command. Emergency field termination authorized. Gravity reduction commencing now. Someone cut the strings holding up the world. The weight lifted sudden and sharp. Mara felt light for a moment. Too light. Her stomach flipped and nausea hit hard. She went down to one knee fast, but caught herself with both hands on the deck. She stayed there, head bowed, breathing deep and ragged. The alarms changed tone. Recovery mode active. Medical priority 1. All injured parties detected. Oxygen levels stable. Gravity now 0.8 G and holding. Drones swarmed in again, this time without falling. They scanned the fallen teams. Beams of blue light swept over broken limbs and cracked shells. Sealant foam sprayed thick. Medical bots extended arms and lifted bodies careful onto stretchers. The Caliph moaned soft as they moved. The Vorath lay still, but their chests rose slow. The Coral got special tanks, filled fast with fresh methane. Mara pushed up slow. She stood again on shaky legs. Her whole body hurt like she ran for days without stop. She looked around the chamber. Everywhere. Suits torn. Shells split. Feathers matted with sweat and blood. 47 aliens down. Most breathed. Most lived. But none stood. She wiped her face with the back of her glove. A smear of blood and sweat stayed behind. She took one step toward the nearest stretcher. It carried Sira. The Caliph looked small now, feathers dull and flat, eyes half closed. Mara spoke quiet. You okay? Sira blinked slow, then focused. Human, you still stand? How? Mara answered simple. Training. Sira made a weak sound that might have been laugh or sob. The translator caught only part. Impossible. Mara turned away. She walked toward the lift doors, slow but steady. Each step hurt, but she made it. The doors opened with a soft hiss. She stepped inside and leaned against the wall. The lift rose, quiet and smooth. Outside the chamber, the observation deck waited, full of stunned faces, alien diplomats, station staff, concordance officers. They watched through the thick glass. They saw everything, the fall of the best. Teams. The single human who refused to fall. The footage looped on every screen. One small figure upright, while the galaxy broke around her. Mara reached the top level. The doors opened. She stepped out into bright light. Faces turned toward her. Whispers started low, then grew. She ignored them. She walked past the crowd, head high, even though her body screamed for rest. The galaxy just learned something new. Humans do not fall easy. Mara Voss stood in the center of the chamber, with the world still spinning slow around her. The gravity had dropped to 0.8 G, but her body remembered the crush of 14.3 G. Her knees shook once, then steadied. Her lungs pulled in air like they had forgotten how to breathe easy. Sweat soaked every inch of her jumpsuit and pulled inside the suit boots. The taste of blood lingered on her tongue from where she bit her cheek during the worst of it. Around her, the aliens lay scattered like broken toys. Sira curled tight, with feathers matted flat against her thin frame. Grook sprawled on his side, shell cracked open in 3 long splits. Green ichor leaked slow onto the deck. The coral forms shrank small inside torn gas bladders. Their eyes stared blank at the ceiling. Medical drones buzzed everywhere. Blue scan beams swept over still bodies. Foam sealed wounds. Bots lifted stretchers with careful arms. The chamber air smelled sharp now. Metal, sweat, methane, and the faint copper of spilled fluids. Mara took one step forward. Her right leg protested with a deep ache, but held. She took another. The override console still glowed soft red behind her. The AI voice spoke again, calm and flat. Human Lieutenant Voss recommended medical evaluation. Immediate rest advised. She ignored it. She walked past the first row of fallen Caliph, their long limbs folded wrong. Some twitched weak when the drones touched them. Others stayed completely still. A Vorath medic bot rolled close. It extended a claw arm and scanned her chest. Green light flashed over her ribs. Heart rate elevated, but stable. Blood pressure high but within human norms. No fractures detected. Recommend hydration and rest. Mara pushed the arm away gentle. No time. She kept walking toward the nearest group of coral. One still moved. Faint bubbles rose from a torn bladder. She knelt slow and checked the seal with her gloved fingers. The gas hissed soft. She pressed harder to stop the leak. The creature inside blinked once, closed its eyes. Station security arrived next. 4 armored figures in heavy suits stepped through the half-open bulkhead. They carried long stun batons and medical kits. The leader, a tall insect-like Zethar, raised his mandible and spoke through the translator. "Human, identify yourself." "Lieutenant Mara Voss, Terran Union," she answered short. The Zethar tilted his head. "You are the only one standing. How?" She met his compound eyes. "Training." He made a clicking sound that might have meant surprise or doubt. "Follow us to medical bay. All personnel must report." Mara nodded once. She followed slow behind them. Her boots scraped the deck with each step. The security team glanced back often, like they expected her to collapse any second. She did not. She walked steady, even when her vision blurred at the edges. The lift ride up felt long. The walls hummed soft, and the gravity stayed light. She leaned against the cool metal and closed her eyes for 5 seconds. Memories flashed quick. Drops from orbit. Heavy worlds. Survival runs in the mountains, where wind pushed like hands. Blackout drills until the body learned to fight darkness. She opened her eyes when the doors hissed open. The medical bay stretched wide and bright. White lights glared down. Rows of regen pods lined the walls, some already filled with aliens. Bots moved fast between them, injecting fluids, wrapping limbs, pumping oxygen. Mara saw Syrah lifted into one pod. The Caliph eyes fluttered open for a moment, then shut again. Grook lay on a reinforced slab. Tech sprayed his shell with hardening gel to hold the cracks closed. A human-sized regen bed waited empty at the end. A medic, a slender mammalian from the Lyrath species, approached. "Mara." "Lieutenant Voss, please lie down for full scan." She shook her head. "I can stand." The medic blinked fast. "Your vitals show extreme stress, muscle tears, possible internal bruising. You must rest." Mara looked at the bed, then at the room full of broken aliens. "Not yet." She walked past him toward the remaining pod. Observation window. Through the thick glass, she saw the command deck. Diplomats and officers crowded close, their faces pressed near the viewports. Some pointed, some recorded with small devices. The footage played on repeat across every screen. The moment the field spiked, the aliens dropping one by one, the single human figure still upright, knees locked, spine straight. The image froze there, over and over. A small biped in gray against a sea of fallen color. Mara watched them watch her. Whispers carried through the open comms channels. "Impossible. Human baseline exceeds projected limits. Death world adaptation confirmed. Physiology rejects standard collapse parameters. She heard the words, but felt nothing new. She had known since basic that humans took punishment different. The rest of the galaxy built tools to escape hard gravity. Humans built bodies that carried the load and kept going. A concordance officer stepped forward on the other side of the glass, a wide-shouldered Thran with hollow, deep blue skin. He spoke into the pickup. Lieutenant Voss approached the window. Mara walked close until only the transparent barrier separated them. You remained conscious at 14.3 G. No other species has achieved that, not even in short bursts. How did you do it? Mara thought for a second. We come from a heavy world. Gravity never let up. Predators chased us across plains. Storms crushed crops. We learned to stand or we died. Simple. The Thran stared long, then nodded slow. We underestimated your kind. Behind him, more officers murmured. Data pads lit up with fresh scans. Muscle fiber density, bone compressive strength, cardiovascular recovery rate. All numbers higher than expected for a species rated soft and short-lived. The room grew louder with questions and quiet arguments. Mara stayed quiet. She turned away from the glass and walked back toward the regen pods. A station drone floated close. It projected a small hollow screen. Medical priority override denied by subject. Again. Mara waved it off. I said no. She found a bench near the wall and sat careful. Her back hurt sharp when she bent, but she ignored it. She pulled off her helmet slow. Hair stuck wet to her forehead. She ran fingers through it and felt the tremble in her hands. The adrenaline faded, now leaving only deep bone tired. Syrah's voice came weak from the nearest pod. Human. Mara looked over. The Caliph lay flat with tubes in her arms, feathers still dull. You did not fall. Why not? Mara answered plain. Because I could not afford to. The team needed someone to hit the override. If I fell, everyone stayed crushed. Syrah made a soft sound. Pain or wonder, maybe both. You are strange. Your body should have broken like ours. It did not break. Mara shrugged a little. It bent. That is enough. The medic returned with a tray of nutrient paste and water. He set it beside her. Eat. Drink. You have lost too much fluid. She took the water first. Drank slow. The cool liquid soothed her raw throat. Then the paste. Thick and sweet. Like old field rations. She ate steady, while the room worked around her. Bots beeped. Monitors hummed. Voices rose and fell in alien tongues. Hours passed slow. The injured stabilized one by one. Gruk woke first. His mandibles clicked weak but steady. He saw Mara sitting upright and stared long. The human still stands, he rasped through the translator. The words spread quick from pod to pod, from medic to officer. The phrase repeated like a new fact. The human still stands. Mara finished the last bite. She stood again, legs steadier now, back still sore, but bearable. She walked to the window once more. The crowd had grown. Diplomats from every species pressed close. Some looked shocked, some looked thoughtful, a few looked afraid. She met their eyes one by one. No smile, no frown, just calm. The galaxy watched a single human who refused the ground. And something shifted, quiet but sure. Respect replaced pity. Curiosity replaced doubt. The Concordance would remember this day, not for the malfunction, for the injuries, but for the moment gravity failed to win. Mara turned from the window. She walked toward the exit doors, head high, steps firm. The ache in her body faded slow, like an old friend saying goodbye. She left the medical bay behind, but the image of her standing stayed burned into every mind that saw it. Weeks passed quiet after the chamber incident. The training station returned to normal routines, but nothing felt the same. Crew members walked softer. Diplomats spoke in lower voices. The repair teams finished welding the cracked grav plates and replaced the burned-out emitter coils. Fresh paint covered the scorch marks on the walls. The air recyclers worked overtime to remove the last traces of methane and ichor. Yet every corridor still carried the memory of that day. Mara Voss spent most of the time in the small Terran recovery suite assigned to her. The room had one window that looked out at the gas giant storms, swirled slow in red and gold bands below. She sat often by that window with a cup of hot tea in her hands. The tea tasted bitter, but familiar. It reminded her of home. The medics visited every day. They checked her bruises, scanned her muscles, tested her reflexes. Each time they shook their heads in quiet surprise. No major tears, no broken bones. Only deep bruises that faded slow, and muscle strain that healed steady. They called it remarkable. She called it normal. Outside her door, the galaxy talked. The footage spread fast, first through secure military channels, then through diplomatic briefings. Soon it leaked to civilian nets. Ships carried copies to every corner of Concord and space. Viewers watched the same loop again and again. The gravity spike, the aliens collapsing, the single human figure standing tall against the red alarms, one small body refusing to bend. The comments poured in from every species. Some called it a miracle. Some called it terrifying. Most called it impossible. In the main assembly hall, the inquiry began. The Concordants formed a review panel. 12 members, one from each founding species, plus observers from newer members. The room looked formal. Long table made of polished dark stone. Chairs shaped for every body type. Hollow screens floated above showing data graphs, injury reports, and the endless footage. Mara appeared by remote link, stood life-size, in the center of the table. She wore her dress uniform, crisp and gray. Her face looked calm, but tired lines showed around her eyes. The panel chair, a tall crystalline being named Vexor, spoke first. Lieutenant Voss, we review the events of Simulation Day 12. Your testimony will guide our findings. Please describe what happened in your own words. Mara nodded once. The gravity climbed past safe levels. The suits failed to compensate. The others fell. I reached the override console. I shut it down. That is all. Vexor tilted his head. That is all? You endured 14.3 standard gravities, while 47 trained members from elite units lay broken. How? Mara answered simple. My body held. I used it. A Vorath delegate named Thalor leaned forward. His shells still showed faint repair lines from the cracks. Lieutenant, our species rates maximum safe load at 4.2 G with full exosuit support. You carried 3 times that without catastrophic failure. Thought for a second. We trained different. Our world never gave us light gravity. We walk hills. We carry loads. We fight wind and storm from birth. Our bones grow dense. Our hearts pump strong. Our muscles learn to lock and hold. Gravity becomes just another thing to push against. Thalor clicked his mandibles slow. We thought humans survived through tools and cleverness. We never thought you simply refused to fall. The Caliph observer Sira sat in a special hover chair. Her feathers grew back in soft patches, but still looked thin. She spoke quiet. Lieutenant Voss, I lay on that deck and watched you walk. I thought my last sight would be your boots moving past my face. You saved us all by staying upright. Why did you not call for help sooner? Mara met her eyes. I called. The comms logged it. No one answered because everyone else was down. I did what I could. Sira dipped her head low. Thank you. Questions continued for hours. Data experts showed charts. Human bone density 30% above galactic. Average for similar mass. Muscle fiber type favored slow twitch endurance. Cardiovascular system recovered fast under load. The panel listened careful. Some took notes, Others stared at Mara like she carried a secret weapon. The Thran observer asked one last question. If we face real combat with gravity anomalies, will humans serve as anchors? Mara answered without pause. Yes. Put us where the weight hits hardest. We hold the line. The inquiry ended late that cycle. The panel filed out quiet. No final decision came yet, but the tone changed. The Concordance would adjust training. No more light assignments for human teams. New protocols appeared in draft form. Anchor Element Terran, listed first in high-stress formations. Medics added human-specific tolerances to emergency kits. Instructors started to show the footage in every academy. Not as warning, but as example. When gravity fails, remember the one who stood. Mara returned to her suite. She sat by the window again. The storms below looked peaceful. From up here, she sipped her tea and felt the last ache in her back fade. The door chimed soft. Gruck stood outside. His shell gleamed fresh with new plating. He entered slow and careful. "Lieutenant," he rasped through the translator, "I come to speak." Mara gestured to the chair opposite. He sat with a heavy creak. "I broke that day. My people call it shame. You did not break. You carried our failure. I owe you honor." She shook her head. "No debt, just survival." Gruck clicked soft. "You stand when we cannot. That changes things. We will remember." He left after a short time. Mara watched the door close. She felt no pride, only quiet satisfaction. The galaxy learned something small but true. Humans take the hit and keep standing. That fact would save lives one day. Months later, new joint exercises began. The chamber received upgrades, triple backups on emitters, fail-safes on every plate. Teams trained harder but smarter. Humans appeared in every mixed unit, not hidden in back, not labeled support, placed front and center as anchors. When the gravity warnings tested the groups, the humans stayed upright first. The aliens watched, learned, adjusted. Some even asked for human training tips. The Kalith practiced standing longer. The Vorath reinforced their shells with human-inspired lattice. The Coral added pressure valves to their bladders. Small changes born from one day when everything fell, except one. Mara shipped out on a new cruiser bound for rimward patrols. She stood on the observation deck as the station shrank behind them. The gas giant glowed soft in the black. The title of the incident report stayed simple. The Gravity Incident, 14.3G, Human Survival Anomaly. Yet everyone knew the real name. The day only the human remained upright. She turned from the view and walked to her quarters. Steps steady. No limp left. No pain lingered. The body healed. The lesson stayed. The galaxy moved forward, wiser, a little tougher, a little more ready, because one human showed that gravity could lose. Years passed after the gravity incident. The training station still orbited the gas giant, but its name changed. Quiet to Anchor Point Station. Crew joked that the new title fit better now. The chamber received constant upgrades, new emitters, stronger backups, redundant power lines. Every safety system carried triple checks. The Concordance learned hard that one mistake could break the best of them. Mara Voss left active duty after the inquiry. She requested transfer to the Rimward Teaching Corps. Her job became simple. Train the next wave. Show them what humans bring to the table. She taught mixed classes now. Kalith cadets practiced standing under increasing pull. Vorath recruits learned to lock joints without cracking. Coral trainees tested new pressure suits designed with human input. She stood at the front of every session, calm and steady. Her voice carried clear across the room. When the gravity warning sounds, someone must stay upright. That someone can be you if you train right. Cadets arrived every cycle. They heard the stories first. The day the field spiked. The day 47 elite fighters fell. the day one human walked to the console and saved them all. Some cadets laughed at first. Humans look small, soft, no extra limbs, no armor plates. How could one stand when we could not? The instructor showed the footage without sound. The loop played slow, the aliens dropping, the humans staying tall. The cadets stopped laughing after that. In one class, a young Caliph named Tira raised a delicate hand. "Lieutenant Voss, the records say you felt no fear when the weight hit. How is that possible?" Mara looked at her for a long moment. Fear was there. Every muscle screamed, every breath burned, I felt it all. But fear does not make you fall. Training does the opposite. It teaches your body to ignore the scream and keep moving. Tira tilted her head. "We break so easy, you do not." "Why?" Mara answered plain. "Our world never let us break easy. Gravity, predators, storms, hunger. We either stood or we died." Standing became habit. The class fell quiet. Tira watched Mara with new eyes. The other cadets did the same. They started to ask real questions. How do humans build muscle that lasts? How do you train your heart to pump under load? How do you walk when everything pushes down? Mara showed them. She ran drills in the chamber. Low gravity first, then medium, then spikes that stopped just short of danger. She stood beside them, encouraged them, pushed them gentle but firm. When a Vorath cadet buckled at 3G, she knelt close. "Breathe slow, lock your core. Push from the legs, not the back." The cadet rose again, shaky but upright. Mara nodded. "Good, keep going." Word spread through the academies. Human instructors became requested. More often than not, cadets asked for Mara by name. She traveled to different stations, different worlds, different species. Each place she taught the same lesson. Gravity is not your enemy, it is a teacher. Learn from it, or it wins. The lesson stuck. Small changes appeared across. The fleet Caliph squads added weighted vests to build leg strength. Vorath units tested reinforced joint braces. Quarrel engineers designed bladders with layered pressure seals. All born from watching one human who refused the deck. One cycle of full joint exercise ran, Anchor Point hosted it. Teams from 15 species now, not 12. The chamber filled again. Suits gleamed fresh. Objectives glowed on the floor. Gravity started low. 0.8G, rising slow. The teams moved smooth, formation tight. Objectives hit on time. At 2G the pace slowed, careful. At 3G the suits hummed louder. At 4G the first warnings blinked. Then the spike came sudden. 5G, 6G, 7G, the alarms screamed, gravity warning, critical field anomaly. Bulkheads began to close. The same fear flashed across every face, but this time no one fell easy. The Caliph braced wide, the Vorath planted firm, the quarrel spread thin. Human anchors stood center, they locked knees, they breathed deep, they held position. Watched from the control booth. Her hands rested light on the rail. The gravity climbed. 8G, 9G, 10G. Some aliens wavered. A few dropped to knees, but the anchors stayed. Most were human, some were not. A Vorath who trained extra. A Caliph who practiced daily. A quarrel with new suit mods. They held. The field hit 12G, then 14. The alarms peaked. The override waited ready, but no one needed it this time. The teams finished the objectives slow but sure. The field dropped on command. No collapse, no broken bodies, only sweat and hard breaths. The debrief happened in the main hall. Every team leader spoke. The room listened close. A Thran captain stood first. "We completed the run. No fatalities, no major injuries. The anchors held when we thought we would break." A Caliph squad leader added, "We learned from the human. We stand taller now." A Vorath rumbled deep. "The debt is paid. We train together, we fall together, we rise together." Mara sat in the back. She listened without speaking. When last voice finished, the commander called her forward. "Lieutenant Voss, your thoughts." She stood slow. The uniform still fit perfect. She looked around the room, at faces from every corner of the galaxy. "You asked how a human stayed upright that day. Simple answer. We come from a place that never let us quit. Gravity tried to kill us every day. We answered by standing, by walking, by carrying more than we should. The galaxy is big, full of hard places, but if you train right, if you push past the scream, you can stand too. Not because you are human, because you choose not to fall. The room stayed silent for a long breath. Then applause started. Slow at first, then loud. It came from every throat, every translator, every click and hum. Mara nodded once. She walked back to her seat. The commander closed the session. New doctrines rolled out soon after. Anchor teams became standard. Every mixed unit carried at least one Terran rated for high G. The rating meant more than physiology. It meant mindset. When everything says drop. Mara retired quiet years later. She moved to a small farm on a terraformed moon. Gravity 1.2 G, close enough to home. She planted crops, watched storms roll across the sky. Children from nearby settlements visited often. They asked for stories. She told them the truth. No heroics, no big speeches. Just one day when gravity lost and a human walked to the console. She showed them old footage. They watched wide-eyed. Then they ran outside to play, pretending to stand against invisible weight. The galaxy changed, slow but sure. Ships carried human anchors to every frontier. Stations built gyms with variable pull. Species shared training vids back and forth. The phrase became common. When the gravity warning triggers, look for the one who stands. That one will save the day. Mara lived long enough to see it all. She sat on her porch one evening. The moon sky clear, stars bright. A message arrived from Anchor Point Station. A new class graduated. They sent holo of the ceremony. Cadets from every species stood in formation. At the center, a single human cadet held the anchor flag. The speaker said the words clear. When gravity fails, remember the lesson from Lieutenant Voss. We do not fall easy. Mara smiled small. She closed the message. The wind blew soft across the fields. She leaned back in her chair, her body old now, but straight, her eyes clear. She looked up at the stars and thought one last time. Gravity tried its best. It lost. Humanity stayed upright, and the galaxy learned to stand with it.